Hey everybody, and welcome to Lost in the Groove. Today, we interview Jaren, that is an incredible cinematographer, photographer, and oh my fucking god, you gotta check out his Instagram page. It is, whoa, it is really good. So, thank you so much for coming on. Kind of introduce yourself. Like, I want to learn more. You know, I want to after this hour, I'll be like, whoa. Yeah.
Well, of course, my name is Jaren. I currently run Fateague Media. That is my photography slash videography company. Um, Currently, I live out here in Salt Lake City, Utah. I am 28 years old, and we're kind of hopping into it. I really appreciate the kind words on the photography. Honestly, I barely started probably like 2, 3 years ago professionally, and haven't really dabbled my toes in it besides the last year of my life. And then I've progressively gotten a lot more opportunities, and that's kind of blown up from there. So I'm just trying to take something I feel comfortable in and confident in and trying to expand on it, you know?
Well, the thing is that one thing that I noticed, especially from your work, is
Right.
I've dabbled into photography myself. You know, I'm an avid user. I was an avid user of film photography, and
Oh, nice, nice.
so one thing you learn, especially early on in photography, is understanding your aperture, understanding your shutter
Of course.
speeds. Those are the key elements to make a really great picture. Like, even if you're telling me that you've been doing this for a year, just seeing your work, you can see that you're a person that really tried to hone those two elements, because the coloring is great, the lighting is really great, the shadows is on par. It's supposed to be where there are. That's hard for a lot of artists that are especially doing this for a year, you know, and honing into it. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, it's definitely taken a lot of time to gain an understanding of what certain aspects of your equipment are actually doing for a specific photo or for a specific scene, right? It's hard to set those up. It's a lot of trial and error. And one thing I was very comfortable with at first was just making a lot of mistakes. So if you're not comfortable with doing that, you're not going to progress as quickly as you'd want to, right? So you have to be comfortable with fucking up, and once you fuck up enough, you start figuring out, hey, maybe this works a little bit for me. This looks good to me, and then you'll start understanding other concepts such as like coloring, color grading, as you were kind of appointing there. But yeah, once you get an understanding of all of that, it just kind of falls into itself, you know. You start looking at things a little bit differently.
Pieces kind of come together.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly.
So
I see you're smoking there, so I gotta smoke on something.
Listen, man. I mean, this is a stoners podcast, all right? We're here to have free vibes and good chills, and I don't know, maybe learn something that we haven't learned before, you know?
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. I should have freaking rolled something up, but I'll have to have my lady fetch me something here in a second.
So let me ask you something. So especially with the work that you're doing. I mean, like you said that you've been doing photography, but I mean, you've also been working on videos. Like, I've seen advertisements specifically for automotive, a lot of automotive,
Right.
you know, I love this, good all American truck, you know, or a good race car, dirt race car, or
Yeah.
what got you into that? I mean, because that's a niche in itself, in regards to
Yeah.
where did that come from, Jaren? I want to know. I'm curious.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as that, I mean, I guess that kind of stems from early childhood.
Right.
Anyone born in the 90s was playing with Hot Wheels, was playing freaking Midnight Club in the early 2000s when you get off of school, you know, Need for Speed Underground. That was just my absolute love of life, and that ended up progressing or transgressing into life itself. Getting into cars, I've literally owned all the cars I've ever wanted, besides, like supercars and everything. We'll get there. But I've owned everything I've wanted, and I just love being behind the seat. There's just a different feeling that you get when you're behind a vehicle. And I wanted to be able to encompass that with my photography and show that same feeling from an outside viewpoint.
The
So,
raw. Well, it's like
and
having.
also you gotta appreciate the automotive culture. So
Yes. It's also about like the raw experience of these vehicles, because like I actually like I've had one dream vehicle that I've always wanted to own. Unfortunately, I don't own it anymore. I had a '78 VW bus, and it was
sick.
it's a 4-speed. Had a whopping 95 horsepower. Whoa, woo!
Yeah,
Yeah,
your seat there, dude.
yeah. It may, we went to 0 to 60 in like 3 minutes, but that's a sort of another. But like
Still waiting.
that experience, like again, it's a raw experience, because like if you've ever been behind a vehicle that's like an old truck, an old manual diesel, I'm gonna say it. Get behind an old manual diesel truck from like the late '90s.
Yeah.
Come back to me, all right? Come back to me and tell me
Right.
how it was.
It's definitely a different
It's
experience
a
for
whole
sure.
different
So,
experience, yeah.
it's more engaging, and I can't say that for well, I can say that for modern age vehicles. I love both old and new, but
Right.
there's definitely like that mechanical feeling of like an older vehicle that'll give you. So my buddy has a '92 pickup right now, no power steering or anything like that,
Which
just a
one?
plain
A
old pickup
Toyota?
truck. So yeah, Toyota. Yeah,
Oh, the what do they call it? The
it's literally
T100s?
not the T100. It's literally just called the Toyota pickup.
Oh my
That's
god,
how
it's
that's like
hilarious.
first gen it is.
Yeah.
So it's just this little box pickup truck. It does what it needs to do, but it's tiny. So, but yeah, it doesn't have any power steering or anything like that. So, talk about old and having to
Yes.
need strong shoulders.
Well, like that's the thing, is like when
Yeah,
you're capturing, like I've noticed, like especially like I don't know if you shared any of your content, if you want to like put it on here, because we do post this on YouTube. Um,
sure.
but like getting that, like those shots, you're talking about, like I've seen like you've done some, like also some modern cars. Um,
Yeah,
you have like, I'm assuming you have your like take of like what you're trying to get out when you're doing that film. Like what you're trying to
right.
show the viewer, like kind of you being the storyteller in many ways.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. I guess that's kind of like the main reason for putting this all together is for me to relay a story or how I was even just feeling in that moment. It doesn't necessarily need to be anything that's like too exponential or like
Right.
too like deep in meaning or anything like that. But and then some days, honestly, there's just like times where I'm just like wanting to throw something together just to be creative, just to say that I can, and just because my mind's telling me to. So um but yeah, I mean, I try to put as much thought as I can into each shoot and shoot everything, even every scene with a purpose. Obviously, with shooting and videography, you're not going to get a money shot on every single one,
No,
but you can damn near try. So
that's the thing I was going to bring up too, is people forget a lot of art,
yeah,
like when artists, like you post something on Instagram or post something on social media or show it to clients, there are hundreds of videos and photos behind those four, maybe one shot that you take.
yeah,
You don't see all of those. That's another
no,
thing that a lot of people don't think
not at
about.
all. So yeah, it's a lot of work. So, but yeah, yeah, no. Just try to be as thoughtful as I possibly can and shoot everything with with an emotion to where like it's going to draw your attention to that, and it's going to make you try and feel something, or I'm going to try to make you feel something off of it. So
So you mentioned
definitely
that,
shot with
like
intention.
when you were a kid, because I can relate to this too. Like we had Hot Wheels and we had all of these like I had a big truck. You remember when we used to have those big trucks and it had a little container you could put your each little Hot Wheel in?
Little Tonka trucks.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
I had one of those, and it was like it was like a very like it was a very like proud moment. And the thing is, I've noticed with like a lot of artists, we take things from our childhood, and then when we create our art, our photography, or paintings, or woodcraft, or whatever it may be, it emulates from that. Like there's an emulation from our childhood that we put into that. I mean, besides
Sure.
like, having like Hot Wheels, do you feel like there's other elements of your childhood that you put into like the photography and um, videos that you put out?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's aspects of it that I delve like within my subconscious. I mean, subconsciously, I probably am doing it more than I'd like to say, but yeah, I believe like throughout my entire childhood, I've just wanted to do something creative, and I've always been a creative kid. I've always been very attentive to detail, um, details in people, details in what I'm doing personally. So
Right.
being in tune with that, I feel like has helped me a lot with my art nowadays, because there's just different perspectives that I understand that maybe other people don't. So, but yeah, it's mainly the creativity. Obviously, there's the ups and downs of living life and everything, and a lot of that heartfelt emotion goes into it. Um, but yeah, no, as far as my childhood goes, I mean, as far as it bleeding into my work, it definitely does in a way, but I wouldn't say so predominantly. I think it's mainly the experiences that I've had more recently in life is what has kind of more compelled me and driven me in my art than
It's like
than the
it's like
latter.
it's like an element, right? Is that what you're saying? Like it's an element.
Right?
It's not like the
Yeah. Yeah.
whole.
'Cause that's exactly.
So for you now, I mean, like with Fatigue Studios and you creating all of this content, like where did that start for you? When you first, I'm assuming you had the idea of. Sometimes we don't have these
Sure.
ideas, but where did it start?
Well, you'll be surprised to know I didn't have the idea.
Oh,
It actually, so like I said, started about 2, 3 years ago. I'm not exactly sure on the dates. I always get them mixed up. Everything's kind of a blur these days. But it started when I picked up my camera because I had just recently purchased, like one of the newest iPhones, being bougie. Um,
we're
Picked up
all
one of
part of the
those.
guilt.
I know, right? It's all guilt.
Yes.
But and thanks for letting me not be the only one. However, started with me picking up my phone, and I was just kind of just shooting random stuff. I had a previous partner. He was a really good friend of mine. He was like one of my best friends. We had a falling out over business, and I guess that's a prime example of not mixing business with
With
pleasure and
friends.
friends. And
Yeah.
but yeah,
And
exactly. So
family.
yeah, but it
And
started then,
family.
and family.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a point there. So that's probably even worse. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was shooting pretty much our adventures on vacations we take together. So we'd be going to California, go to Colorado, go down to Texas, and we just want to film all of that. And so I picked up my camera and just kind of started doing it. I didn't really have like an incentive to do it, besides the fact that I needed to stop being lazy and be productive with the creativity that I did have to offer, because I have a lot
Well,
of it and I just didn't know where to put it. So I felt like I was putting it into the wrong places. And I kind of thought to myself one day, I was like, wow, like someone told me, I was like, hey, your work's actually really good. Like, what camera are you shooting off of? I'm like, that's actually just my phone. And like, they were pretty amazed by it. And I was like, okay, maybe this might be something. So kept progressing and progressing, and I kept shooting for my buddy. His name was Mo, or is Mo, sorry. Kept shooting for him, and he kind of has his hands in a lot of things around Utah. He has his hands in a couple different businesses, or he did. And one of those businesses being another media company he had with his friend. Um, that didn't work out, but they still had the gear, right? So he actually let me take hold of one of the cameras and started letting me kind of just do my own thing with it. Um, from there, it was really tough because I didn't know anything about cameras. So I never took like a photography class in high school or anything like that. So self-taught, takes a long time, but I felt like I had something, so I just couldn't let it go, and I always felt like I was throughout my life. I've felt like I've always lived for others. I'm a very selfless person, and I just needed to do something for myself. So
Wow. Yeah,
this
that
was it.
is it really shows, it really shows a sense of true character, because like I can relate with this. I'm a self-taught graphic designer and artist. I
Nice.
started doing digital art. I got an iPad a few years ago, and it changed my life. It opened myself up to a different way of creating. And like, we are right now in a period where you have this, I have an iPad, I have a pen, I can create things I cannot create on paper. There are things
Right.
you can do on your phone. Yes, again, there are many things a DSLR camera can do that a iPhone cannot. That is true. But
Given.
there are people that are famous YouTubers that will go to other countries and they will record their content on iPhones, of course, with
Yeah.
equipment and stuff. But
Yeah. Right.
it just goes to show you like how powerful the technology has gotten to, like, literally to be in the size and like so like
Our hand. Yeah.
yeah, like in our hand, like whoa, stone brain. But
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly. Yeah, no, it's a really powerful thing too. Like, and just it shows you also, kind of like you got to take advantage of what you have. You don't have to
yes,
look at what everybody else fucking has. You don't have to get the fanciest new thing. You can just have your phone, and you can make magic with it. Like you said, YouTubers that use their phone. I know YouTubers that use their phone, and they make lots of money doing it. I'm sure they paid back their phones. So, but
yeah. I mean, like, look at what we're doing right here. I mean, I had this simple philosophy of, yes, it's great to do podcasting in person, and I think that's an excellent experience. But there are many ways as a person that, if you want to be able to develop and be able
yeah,
to expand, use your technology for your advantage. Zoom is a great tool. I'm very thankful that it exists, but it also allows people
yeah,
to hear, like, your perspective and growth. You're one of those types of artists that is coming out of this fruition of where use what you have to your capability. Don't say, well, I
yeah.
don't have this. Okay, if you don't have this, what else do you have? What else can you work with? What else can you do to
Right,
be able
right.
to get better at it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that pretty much nails it down right there. It's just your perspective, And I chose to choose a different or chose a different perspective, and ever since then, I feel like things have started to align for me. So
So you said that with Fatigue Studio, I mean, is it now under you, or like what exactly has happened? Because like you were,
so
yes. You could spill, honey.
sorry,
If you want
sorry.
to spill a little tea, you could spill a little tea. I love a little tea, but if
I'll
you don't,
spill
you
a
don't.
little bit, just a little bit, just
A
a
little,
little bit, just
a
a
little
little
tea, girl. Ah.
bit. To reference that falling out that I had with Mo, my old business partner, to refresh your minds there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what had happened is we began doing a lot of work together, right?
Right.
I started figuring out my value as a person and figured out the individuals that were taking advantage of me. We won't delve too far into that. However, the situation became to where I was working for free for 2 years with the expectation that there was a friendship there and no maybe other obligations, maybe say like pay. So after that had happened, um, or actually before that had happened, I had done so much work for him over those last 2 years that he had told me to keep the camera. And I was like, perfect, thank you. Like, I feel like that's more than fair. I worked for you for 2 years. I did all your content, built your
Right.
site, did your invoicing, did all of that
It's a
for
reasonable
free.
ask.
And that's a reasonable ask, right? And
Yeah.
it's not like wanted to do anything with the intent of, hey, you owe me something. It
Right.
was, we were building and we got to a point to where things were getting a little bit more stable. Money was coming in and I wasn't seeing any of it. So it's as simple as that. And I kind of cut ties from there because I just didn't feel like I was treated right. So cut ties there. And with what had happened with him and his previous business partner with that media company, I ended up actually taking over that account, over that company, as well, and renaming it and rebranding it under Fatigue. So
Oh,
um, yeah, I just wanted something more formal, and it was mine already. So
you took some. That's something really, really inspiring because you took something that had potential but wasn't really being used to its full advantage.
to its
And
full advantage, yeah, exactly.
then once you took control of it, I mean, like hello, anybody that sees your Instagram page can see what I'm talking about. Like, you created your own studio, you created your own content that you created your own portfolio. It's yours. It doesn't
Yes,
belong to
yep,
anybody else.
I know, and I'm damn proud of it.
You got to start somewhere. That's the thing, is like, people want that momentum. They want that push. They want that drive. You know what you need? Just got to get out there. You got to be able to be like,
Gotta
this
do
is
it.
my work. This is what I'm
Right.
representing here.
Yeah, yeah. And it takes, and it's sometimes a little easier said than done, but
Yes,
you just got to
for
push
core.
yourself, like you said. You just got
Yeah,
to get out of your head, just go do it.
easier
So
said than done. Yeah, I know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Some days it's a lot harder, that's for sure. So in this winter, we're getting a little slow. So we've been doing a lot of um, self-preservation, I should say.
I'm from. So it's funny. Like, I live out here in Florida, but I'm from New York,
You
and
lucky man.
we New Yorkers, we laugh so hard at Floridians. They don't understand what snow is. No understanding what rain. Come on, you're from Utah. You understand, like, when, like, there's heavy snow. Like, you gotta shovel that. You gotta go through the icy roads, and you gotta drive a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, there's a different level of struggle. There's a different
It's
level.
different. It's
Yeah.
it's like come to the Western United States and come say that again. Yeah, it's definitely different. We've had a pretty brutal winter this year. It's probably been one of our worst. Up in the mountains, we got probably over 1,000 feet of snow. And here in the valley, we got probably a good, like, over the season, 20, 30 feet of snow.
Jesus.
So it's been pretty good. Yeah, it's been pretty good. So
Well, listen, if you got four-wheel drive, you know this. You got four-wheel drive. I got four-wheel drive. You're good.
yep.
You're good.
Yeah, you're always good. Yep, I got my big old truck and nothing really stops that. So
It's kind of bringing up about cars, because I know you're a lover of cars. Um,
yes,
People.
sir.
So here's the thing: the trend of Suburbans, like the big SUVs. All right, it was a practical thing. Like, people are always saying, like, oh my God, there was like a craze in the 90s. The people. It's because so many of us out in the Northeast and, like, in the Midwest, we have these harsh winters, we have these harsh rainfalls, that we
Right.
needed these bigger vehicles. I remember, like, as a kid, we had like a sedan, but my dad had a big truck, and sometimes it was the only
Oh
thing
yeah.
that we
Oh
could
yeah.
drive. Um, it's kind of strange how, like, people sometimes take practicality and make it into a fashion trend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I guess that's normally what happens.
Oh my God.
Oh, dude.
But, like, I mean, like your own perspective, because, like, oh my God, I saw this the other day. I love those people that take these Suburbans, right, and they make them, like, they take these old SUVs and they make them look all shiny and brand new, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's like, bruh, it looks like a piece of from the museum. Like, what did you do? You watch Fast and the Furious and watch, like, a kung fu movie? Like, That's not what it looked like in '84, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I guess it's their maybe their own spin on it. But yeah, we don't really see too much of that out here. Luckily for me, we have a pretty diverse car scene, a pretty decent one at that, because Utah's pretty financially stable, as is Florida. And so, yeah, people know how to spend their money out here. So we got some pretty cool cars. So it makes for
What kind
shooting
of
a really good time.
let me ask you something, like what kind of companies are you working out with, like out here in Utah? I mean, like, if you have this content that's going on and you're working with these different, like, what kind of like companies are you trying to get your content out towards? Like, maybe that is actually the
So,
better question.
just more, yeah, more automotive companies. Obviously, I want to get into commercial work at some point. I think that's kind of where my work has been kind of leading to.
You need to do a
You'll
Ford
see me
commercial.
starting to shoot with,
You
yeah,
need to
right.
do you need to
That's what
do
I'm
no,
trying to
I'm
shoot for.
you know what? If any Ford person is listening to this guy has got to do like a Bronco commercial, or no, better, Mustang commercial.
Please,
Yeah, like
please.
a
Oh, I would
Mustang
love to.
commercial. I could totally see that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like I'm getting to a point where I can absolutely start offering those services to, these bigger companies. I've shot with GMC already.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and that was a really humbling experience. That was a very big set. And but that's what I want to do. And I feel like if I can get more of that type of traction, there's a few different people I know that have helped me kind of with this process. So I'm kind of leaning on them in this. But if I can get more experience into that, under my belt, or that with that under my belt, I feel like I'm definitely set to go shoot commercials like that. So, but yeah, car manufacturers mainly, Ford, Nissan specifically.
Yeah, Nissan would be,
um,
because they're having this new comeback, and they're like, I don't
yeah,
know if people know this. Okay, this is gonna blow your mind. Do you know that the recent Nissan commercials that have been going out, they're all done by these different artists? Go check this out. If you go
oh
online,
wow,
you'll see like they're all made by these different artists, and I'm like, okay, they really are trying to make this comeback. Like, they're trying to do something
all
different.
right,
The the
yeah,
the, the kind of the thing is that the car industry is different than the regular industries, because
yeah,
they're a brand that has this embellishment, unlike Tesla. Tesla's a different story. They have this embellishment of legacy, of what they've been doing for so many years. Look, we're both, I grew up in the end of the 90s, okay? The 2000s
yeah.
was just joke ass bullshit. Bruh, there were commercials with girls with big tits and tan. Remember those like Volkswagen
Is that a
commercials? Just
Carl's
like,
Jr. commercial?
yes, they were hilarious.
It's like, what the fuck?
What the
Like,
fuck
that
was
didn't even like
that?
make sense. It was just tits, and
Oh,
it was just like, all right, is
oh,
that a car?
do you remember the hamsters with the Kia commercials? The Kia Soul in the
Oh
early
yeah, yeah, the
2000s was
Kia
like,
Soul.
was a hamster.
Yeah,
I'm like, but we're out of that. We're out of
nothing
that.
else.
We're out of
Yeah,
that. Now we're like more into like, we're cars are going back to like they're pieces of art. I've seen some of the
yeah.
newer cars, especially like from Cadillac, and I'm like, okay, you know what?
Like, dear
You know
God.
what? Okay, they're kind of bringing themselves back to what they were in the 50s. Um,
Right.
but having a modern trend, and that's something like I did also like notice, like also bringing in those modern cars, because I noticed like you've started doing that as well. Like, modern cars can be pieces of art. There are manufacturers that are trying to do that. You just have
Nope,
to
of course.
look.
Yeah. You have to look, and yeah, you just have to be able to, find the opportunity to be there, So like if they need something, you need to be there. So that's typically where I try to point for first, is just people that have worked for those companies. I try to pick their brains and get to the people that they worked for. And that usually will get you to where you need to go. And like I have been noticing, like you have said, I have been noticing that a lot of companies have been taking a more creative route with marketing and ad campaigns. because I feel like that's actually working for them. It's because it's actually pulling people's attention rather than just some lame piece of ad work that like you said, titties. It's not just titties. It's
And
like
hamsters
it's now
and the
and hamsters.
Karens.
It's now art.
It's
So
now.
it's now like a piece of someone, and you can sell that because people, they eat up emotions, right? If you can sell an emotion, then you're good. So,
Um.
and I think that's
Okay.
their new thing.
Let me ask you. So you know that
Sure.
The Nissan Z, the new one, I think it came out. It came.
Mm.
Did it came out? I think it already.
Oh, it came out. I got
Yeah.
some content coming tomorrow for you.
Oh, that car. I'm like it. It ties in old school and brings in new school.
Oh,
Mm,
beautifully,
oh my god, it's so it's so
beautifully. Dude, I love how they kept like certain aspects of the rear end and the front end,
it's very
and they
70s.
just did it so well.
It's
Yeah,
very
yo, very
70s.
70s.
Like
Yeah, but
I
like
saw
a
one.
very, very well rendition.
Did you see one like out? Like I saw one actually out on the road, like
Oh, cool,
driving,
cool.
and I was just
Oh,
like,
nice, nice. I
I was
actually
like,
haven't seen one like out on the road, but I saw one
oh
at a Formula Drift event when they came out to Utah. So that
wow,
was pretty tight.
that's really cool. So they were drifting them on the racetrack. Like
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my
It's called Utah Motorsports Campus. Yeah, and they do like drift events out there all the time. And Formula Drift caught wind of it and finally came to Utah and they ripped it out here. Chris Forsberg was the one that had the new Z, and that thing is just built so beautifully.
I'm like trying to wrap my head on like it's Utah and a racetrack. Like,
Right.
right.
That's the only thing we got.
I don't know.
So,
Utah always inspires me because like I've met some of like the most incredible people from Utah. Um
oh, cool, cool.
and I'll tell you something. One thing like especially like I noticed from you is like you just like want to just keep on like just developing and like just keep on figuring out where you can get this to go. It's like it's never ending. You either
Yeah.
you either go for it, man. You either don't let go of that goddamn brake. You know, like
Yeah,
don't you
I
dare
know,
let go of that
right?
goddamn brake. You're gonna be
Yeah, I
slamming
know,
in the
man.
wall. Hmm.
Exactly, and that's kind of my intent in it all. You know, at the current moment, I'm I'm essentially trying to gain traction, more specifically so that I can get more opportunity within photography and within videography. I want more jobs appointed to that, you know? So that's why I've been so consistent. And it may not have the best traction now, but give me some time and let me figure a few things out and we're going to get there. So
It's like don't call like I'll call you. Don't worry, I'm gonna call you.
don't
Or
worry.
yeah, don't worry. Like, I'm gonna call you back.
Right,
Hmm.
right.
So like I know like you have like your thing towards um the automotive industry. Are there any other industries that you do want to go towards, like for example, like with your photography?
Yeah. Yeah, so I want to get into obviously like more personally styled shoots,
Ooh,
um, that are more set stages than anything else. So like portrait images. I want to start doing like boudoir. I've talked to a few girls and they're very interested. I have people reaching out to me and wondering if I do it. I just haven't ever done it before. And so that's kind of like the next realm I want to take with my photography. But right now, just want to figure out the videography portion, get those contracts going, and then I can develop my photography even furthermore. Not that I'm not going to work on it, obviously, but you know, I'll probably be able to spend more time at it at that point. So, oh, cute little kitty. I don't know what
um,
mine's at right now, but she's usually behind me.
well, she jumps on when she wants to. It's like life of it.
As a cat does.
I know this is notorious. So you said you wanted to do like portraits.
Yeah, so portrait photography for like just like models. I want to work with like models, both male, female. And then, obviously I want to kind of feed boudoir into that and more like adulterated photo shoots, but not like revealing. So things that'll keep you guessing, that'll keep you on the
So like
post, right?
burlesque. I'm thinking of like burlesque,
Yeah, essentially.
like a
Yeah, it's a form
noir,
of it, right?
like black
Yes,
and white
yes,
shoot.
exactly. That's kind of like the tonal aspect of what I'm going to be kind of shooting. Um, Obviously, those times are probably those shoots are probably coming a lot sooner than later. Just because I kind of want to start diving into different things, but I also need to stay in one lane and focus on one thing at the same time. So I'm definitely like balancing on a very tight rope right now.
No one likes being in the
Tight.
circus. No one likes being in the circus, but sometimes we
No.
don't have a choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, but I'm just like the little monkey that's doing the cartwheel.
Like we all feel like we're just being a bunch of children and not doing anything. Like we're just just running around and just like banging our heads against the wall. It's like
Right.
there's no manual, man. It's just you gotta go for it. No, seriously, you just gotta go for it. Like there's no other
Yeah,
option. Like if you don't try, you don't know. It's plain and simple.
exactly. Exactly. And that's what feeds back to that don't be scared to fail thing, because if you're not failing, you're not doing anything right.
So like
So
with like your portrait photography, like
sure.
how have you like progressed that? I mean, have you been working towards that more now, or this is something that's kind of like a kind of side focus?
Yeah, so definitely not a side focus. I freaking stress about this 24/7. But as far as like how I've progressed with photography, um, it's just kind of taking from I wouldn't say taking from actually, yeah, I definitely wouldn't say taking from like other artists, but like figuring out what artists are cool to me and who catches my attention and trying to essentially emulate their own style with me behind it, right? So without saying that I'm copying their stuff, I'm more likely just like looking at their image, taking a reference of that in my head, and then just going about it within that same realm or that same streamlined process as far as like color grading goes, contrast, lighting. So those things really helped me develop my own skill set and my own personal style. And then you forget about those people, right? And then you start focusing on like, damn, this is my own style now, right? And now hopefully to one day people will be like, oh, I want my style to be like yours, and I'll be like, I remember.
They complain. You see, the thing is, they
So
complain, but then later on, they're like, "But wait a minute, bro, you had your chance, man. You had your chance 3 years
yeah.
ago."
Like I hit you up then, man. You should have done it.
Yeah, like where were you then, bro? Like,
Right,
I'm
right.
just, I'm just
So
saying.
yeah. No, it's definitely helped me though to like figure out who my favorite artists are, like Aaron Brimhall and Nick Dean and Cameron Gould's commercial work and Peter McKinnon's photography. Like all those guys have really inspired me. Peter Lundgren have all inspired me to do like my very best at photography and try to figure it out for myself, but like also like keep me relative. They've helped me learn programs, learn camera settings. So definitely owe a lot to them and their YouTube channels. But
But it's true though. A lot of people don't realize like you don't necessarily need a you don't necessarily need a college degree. Like there's so much content
no,
online. Just to prove this point, you could become a graphic designer with just masterclass.
no, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's a
You
master
could
class on everything.
yeah, you could do that on photography. Like if you decide you like Jaren's work and you're like, I'm inspired, Go to master class, okay? You could take a bunch of classes,
Right.
pull out your goddamn phone, and start shooting.
Exactly.
Like, there's nothing holding you back
The click
except
of a button.
yourself. Hmm?
Yep, exactly. I was just saying, it's a simple click of a button. So, but yeah, no one's
Literally,
holding you back. No one's holding you back.
no
So
one's holding you back.
you just gotta want it. Just gotta want it. You know,
Want it real bad.
want it real fucking bad.
Oh my god. Well, I will say, like, this has absolutely been a blast.
Yeah.
I literally, I get so much shit on my Insta feed. Oh my god! But there are times I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate, like, I get to talk to you, and I get to like, we all get to have this really awesome experience, and appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, man. And from me to you, I really just appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. And I, from an artist standpoint, appreciate anyone that appreciates the work that I put out, because it's coming from the heart. And if you can see that, I appreciate you, man.
For anyone that is lazy, and if doesn't have the time, of course we're going to leave all of Jaren's information below. But where can they find you on Instagram and your socials?
On social media, you can find me at Fateague Media. That is FATEAGUE Media. That's my last name. So Fateague is kind of a play on my last name. It's cool. But that's pretty much on every platform. YouTube, you can just find me by my first and last name, Jaren Teague.
And with that, this has been Lost in the Groove. You want to check out more of the podcast? We're at Lost in the Groove Pod. We are on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So be sure to check out more of the content, and be sure to check out Jared's content. Oh my god, this has been so fun. We love y'all. Catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.